How are you doing? So, in this video, I want you to know a little about what we can do on the network interface that's accompanied with our system. So, network interface is very important in order to secure that, or we can do a lot of things to secure ports and availability on the network. So, let's just try to write a command here that called iptables. So, let's try here. So L. Okay, iptables.man. So this is something that we use to configure the network interface like a firewall. So if we have the iptables, we can use the big L. So let's try to use that. Oh, let's just try to use sudo on that, and then just so. Okay, so I'll just do that again. And here we get chain input, target, destination, and we have the protocol, the option, the source. So we have the forward, we have the output. So this is for packet filtering on the hosts. So we can packet filter in our system what we want to allow, what certain packets, TCP, IP, UDP. So that's very important thing about system security, that we configure this correctly when we set up a system, so we don't allow anything connecting to our system. So when we talk about network interface, we can also talk about monitoring. So before we even start to configure something, or we on a daily routine, we always keep an eye on what hosts are on our systems. So we can run the command nmap, and then sp, and then I can write the my local IP address. So I can say like 40, and then so we need to install nmap. That's important. So the system I've just booted and installed. So why isn't that locate package nmap? Sudo apt. Let's try to get. So that's actually pretty interesting. So okay, well, I'll figure out that later. We can just go on. You get an idea of what we get. We get this command, we get the output here. We can see how many hosts we are up on the system, and then we can also watch, as we saw before, the IP addresses. Something that is crucial in every attacker's toolbox is having some kind of hook into the system through an application port. So when we look at this, something should be triggering our attention, and perhaps here we see something that's above 1000, and 1000 is like typically the main user of software application. They use like the lower bounds here. So we have SSH, SMTP, HTTP, like, so they use below 1000, and typically a script kiddie will also look below that, a very novel user of hacking tools. So if you want to be smart, then move your ports about 1000. And here we see also this elite here. So what happens here is that I actually configured a tool called Port Sentry to listen on these ports and open an application, so they will eventually detect if somebody is scanning the network. Very smart. So we move along, we see our services. We need to monitor the services running on our host. So we can, when we do this sudo o, we can also get a service look here. So telnet, HTTP, as we also saw before in the ports here. And then we also get this, we get a MAC address for what system it is, and then we can also see what Linux or what operating system is running. So it's making some estimation about that. That's important also for a hacker to know, because they are going to utilize that to use exploits against the system. And we see here we can run this scan. And then we can also do some stealth scanning here. Interesting. Okay, and we need to like keep an eye on what and confirm with external sources that these are not very funny things. So let's look at an incident. And an incident could be somewhere where, or we could simulate an incident with using Metasploitable. And Metasploitable has some available exploits for SMB that we can configure into our system, and then try to see what utilize these to get an idea of how easy it is to exploit our systems if we don't patch and update them. And here we're exploiting the system here, and we can get in and see who we are, and then we can go look at how we can gain some root access based on these exploits. So here we have like the basic setup of our IPs, and then we use this Samba protocol to get in, and then we can see here root, who am I? I'm root. So this was fairly easy. While we are root, we want to get the most of it. So we look into to finding some passwords. So we generate a shadow file, and we send it via the 445 port, and then we back to our machine, so we get it safely, and then we can now do some number crunching with John the Ripper or something else. So now we have the shadow file here in our system, on the attacker system, and then we can also exploit other systems while we utilizing some CVE databases that have known exploits, and then when we know the exploits in the system, or we want to target a specific system that we have nmap scanned, we got an idea of, and we as a system administrator always nmap before them, so we will eventually find some kind of backdoor through the protocol or application that is not patched correctly in some certain CVEs that we know of, and then we go in and configure Metasploitable to attack this, and then we get main root access. So I think that is very much what it's about, the scanning and monitoring part, and all preparing for defenses. So when we are we want to configure these, we can configure a static IP here by going into the YAML file here at the netplan directory, and then we can configure it so static IP, so we have a predictable system where the DHCP don't just assign some system some IP, then we don't have control of it. It's very hard to keep a list and track of dynamically assigned IPs, and we apply this here, and then we can see here that we run the netplan, and I had to run some, and then we can also configure host firewall. That's a very important part of it. So as you saw before, so we can configure sudo IP tables here, IP tables A, input S, and then we say we only want localhost A, and then jump, accept. So now we have applied a firewall rule, and then we can go into looking into the firewall rule here, and then we should see here that we accept all connections from the local host input connections. An important rule is to we can also ICMP scans. We can block those, and only allow the ones that we need. And we can also, and we can add some extra chains here, so we can chain allowed, and we can configure some application protocol here, TCP destination port. So I think that was very much it, and always remember to add some deny drop here. So let's always remember to add drop at the end here, so we drop all other connections, so we only allow the whitelisted ones. That was very much it for the network interface here. So thank you for watching, and hope you will stick to the channel and subscribe. Hit that like button, smash it.